Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video of RLCS NA Regional number 3, where on screen right now we are looking at my predictions of how the Swiss bracket would go, and I got round 1 right. Okay, I got round 1 right. You know what? Let's just go ahead, move it to what actually happened. And I mean, honest, who could have guessed it? Who could have possibly guessed this? I mean, round 1, I did amazing. Sure, I got, like, the game differential slightly up, but hey, 8 for 8. I was like, oh my god, what a great start to the day. Hopefully, I get all 8 teams that I predicted to go through, right? And then Rebellion managed to lose to Space Station, and then Snowmen, and then Muffin Men, and go 0-3 on the day. And you can see just so much happened here. Omelet swept a M80 in round 2. What else was like big? Gen G beat G2 game 5, the first time that G2 has lost in the season, which is absolutely insane. TSM going 3-0 on the day. Granted, and I'm sorry if any of the TSM boys are watching this, they had a pretty easy run. Okay, they had Boulevard, they had Pirates on a boat, which granted, Pirates solid roster, top 8, everyone thinks it, and then Omelet, like no G2, no Gen G, M80, or Space Station, Luminosity. Nah, they kind of just played. I mean, like, they played multiple teams that didn't make it, and then Omelet, who this is also their first time making it. So, TSM, maybe a little bit of an easier road than some of the other teams here. And then OG sweep Space Station. Luminosity beat M80, which actually is not surprised because I predicted it last week to happen in the final bracket, and so they beat OG disgustingly. Rebellion and NRG are the first two teams knocked out, which is wild. Omelet beat Luminosity in round 4 to make it to top 8. And then in round 5, Luminosity beat Boulevard, M80 beat Pirates, and Space Station beat Dig. I would have honestly predicted all 3 of those, but I managed to get 3 teams wrong on the top 8 this time. TSM, OG, and Omelet. So I've been asked a few times, Shu, why don't you do the top 8 predictions when you do like the Swiss predictions? And it's because I could have never guessed this. No one could have ever guessed that this is going to be the final bracket that we're working with. Like, what the what NA? What is going on here? So I want to go over real quick just the final tiebreakers that are left. I'm going to go ahead and throw on the screen right now the current rankings of all the teams and like how many points they've earned so far. So today, Gen G managed to clinch the major to Copenhagen. Good job to them. Makes sense. They did go 3-0 beating G2, so they better have. So we'll see them, which means there's only 2 spots remaining. Now, Luminosity Gaming clinches with a top 4 finish. Okay? 3rd or 4th. So they just have to beat OG. That's pretty simple. Okay? Pretty simple. Then we have M80, OG, Space Station, TSM, and Omelet, who basically just all have to win as much as they can. The specific things that are written here. Luminosity clinches. It says with Luminosity defeating Dignitas. I think that means with Luminosity defeating OG. So very simple Luminosity. Just do exactly what you did last week in the playoffs. Beat OG. All they have to do. Super simple stuff, right? TSM have to win. They have to win the regional and hope for a tiebreaker. So very crazy stuff for TSM. Most of it is out of their control, and they of course have to run into M80 first, then G2, and then whoever they run into in the other side, which it could be literally any of those 4 teams. You have M80 right below them. They're eliminated if TSM beats them and Space Station beats Gen G or OG beats Luminosity. They will clinch if M80 beats TSM G2 beats Omelet, Gen G beats Space Station, and Luminosity beats OG. So it's actually pretty viable that as long as M80 win their match, they are good. If they lose their match, they have to hope that everything else goes according to the power rankings. Yeah, and they can hope for a tiebreaker. Omelet have to just win out, and I think it's I don't even remember. I think it's like TSM wins, G2 wins, Gen G wins, and then OG wins. And then Gen G beats OG, TSM just or Omelet just runs through everyone. So Omelet, insanely hard path. I don't think that's going to be very possible. Space Station, they're eliminated if Gen G beats them, and either M80 beats TSM or OG beats Luminosity. So they're going to be rooting for M80 and Luminosity. And then OG are eliminated if Luminosity beats them and either M80 beats TSM or Space Station beats Gen G. So Space Station, OG, exact same idea. And then we have the one team that's still in it, but it's out of their hands, Dignitas. They are eliminated if M80 beats TSM, if Space Station beats Gen G, or if OG beats Luminosity, because we're looking at the standings right now, and there's a massive tie here. Dignitas, M80, OG, and Space Station are all set at 18. And so basically, all these teams are really relying on Omelet not winning, and then TSM not making the grand final. Fun fact. I just want to run a very, very quick scenario. Fun fact though, if we get this exact bracket, then we go to the point rankings, and TSM, OG, M80, Space Station, and Dignitas are tied for 4th. Which would be so insane. But also, like, you look at this, the only crazy thing that happens here, and like the Gen G Luminosity match doesn't matter in this scenario at all. The only crazy thing is TSM being M80. But M80 didn't look so great. They're known for losing the quarterfinals. Imagine if this happened, guys. Imagine if this happened. Oh, that'd be so amazing. But of course, we're not here to see it happen. We're kind of here to see it happen. I'm kind of rooting for this. But we are not expecting it to happen. Instead, we are just going to go ahead and go through what we predict will happen. You're trying to see my predictions, and of course, I have the stats to back them up. First, we have TSM versus M80. Now, in the Swiss, these teams were actually pretty close. M80 just put out a little bit on top, and this is actually a weird one. They scored the exact same amount of goals per game at 2.09. TSM had a higher assist per game, though. TSM had a higher saves per game. M80 had a much higher shots per game at 10 compared to the 8 from TSM, but only shooting 20% compared to TSM's 26%. TSM 6.36 demos per game, M80 3.59. So M80 are not looking for demos, so I think that's really TSM's big priority here. But I think that M80, they didn't sweep their bracket, which is why they're going to finally win, going to the semifinals, knocking TSM out of contention. Then we have G2 against Omelet. And I mean, Omelet's looking pretty good, in all honesty. For once, G2's stats aren't good. I will say these are my old rating systems. If you've been looking at my Twitter, you know I have a new one coming. That won't be coming until after spring break, which is in a week. So like 2 to 3 weeks probably before I can get a video or anything out on that, just because I have a lot going on. Okay, boom. This looks way better. So that way you guys can see stuff. I don't care about the stats. I'm just gonna say G2 4 out. Omelet, they're out. G2 are going to still do really well. They only lost to an amazing looking Gen G roster. Speaking of Gen G, we next have Gen G against Space Station. Space Station's a team that are known to not do too well in stats. Fun fact, my new rating system actually helps fix that. Gen G, though, got a 9.7 rating. They're looking at 3.38 goals per game, 2.54 assists per game. So while they're only looking at, a 75% assist rate, which is actually pretty low for these top teams, they're scoring over 3 goals per game and doing an incredible job. 4.85 saves per game, which is a little bit low. 9.23 shots per game with a 36% shooting percentage and a 4.77 demo per game. And looking at the player ratings, it's because of First Killer, who broke my ratings, the second player in history to do that, behind Evo, getting almost 500 points per game, 1.31 goals per game, 0.92 assists per game, 1.69 saves per game, 4 shots per game, and over 2 demos per game. Number 2 player on my list, Chronic at a 9.6 rating. And then Appjack is all the way down at 28 with a average performance because you can't have all 3 players. So I mean, Genji just look so incredibly solid. It's great for them. But if M80 win, then Space Station have to win. But they won't. They're going to take, I'll say 2 games. I think Space Station can take 2 games off of Genji. But if these guys look anything like they did in the Swiss stage, Genji are looking super strong. And then we have the final match of the quarterfinals, Luminosity against OG Esports. Luminosity kind of struggled, honestly, in their bracket. They struggled a bit. They lost to Dignitas, which I expected. Dignitas know how to play against that demo meta. They then sweep Muffin Men. They beat M80. Then they lose to Omelet and barely beat Boulevard, which are 2 teams that they should be beating time and time again. But Luminosity versus OG seems to be coming like, a pretty stable matchup. A great rivalry for them. But ever since OG picked up Torment's Minions, they have not been able to beat Luminosity. 3-2 in Bands on Wheels, and then 4-1, of course, in the most recent NA Open Qualifier 2, which was in the semifinals of last one. So Luminosity seem to have OG's number, but I think OG are going to put up much more of a fight. Of course, Luminosity are not happy with their performance yesterday. They're going to be putting in their all. I know that they're going to be looking at the replays, what they did right against OG last time and how they can do it again. Luminosity will move forward, and then we see what will ultimately be the 4 teams making it to Copenhagen. M80, G2, Genji, and Luminosity are guaranteed at that point. As much as I would love to see TSM upset M80 to cause a massive tiebreaker, that would be great. It's not going to happen. G2 then are going to 4-1 M80. Honestly, I think that G2 are just going to be crushing team after team. But if you want to look at the stats just to compare them, then G2 are just beating them pretty much everywhere. 0.6 goals per game more, 0.65 assists per game more, less saves because, they're playing defense, more shots, higher shooting percentage, and equal demos, and equal points. They're actually like 1.25 points per game off from each other. So actually that's really close. G2, though, should totally have their number. And then Genji against Luminosity. Luminosity actually could have Genji's number. It's the fact that Genji are a very 3-man roster team, similar to G2, similar to a lot of these other teams, where Luminosity's demos and their aggression will break that rotation down. Genji, though, if they look anything like they did before, will take it. I want to give Luminosity 3 games. Game 7, Luminosity, they might not be the top of the league, but they know how to beat the top of the league. They've shown it. They take G2 really far every time. They take they take Genji. They beat OG. They lose to Space Station, but that's mixed. They beat M80. It's just whenever they play against a team that doesn't know how to work against those demos, they manage to find a way to at least push it. And then G2 Genji, I'm going to say game 7, but I think G2 are ultimately going to win and be the 3-time champions of North America. Genji, though, I'm loving how they're looking in this regional. This is exactly what we need for them going into Copenhagen. I hope that they do well. There are my rankings. There are the point rankings. This has been fun. I'm going to do a recap on either Monday or Tuesday, not sure exactly what day, of everything. I'll try to have some really amazing stats for you guys. Maybe I'll do my new rating system for this, to like for at least for this regional. If not, maybe I will do a later one for the entire split. We'll see, but I'm not giving the details away of that just yet. Hope you guys enjoyed. That is all. Make sure you go like and subscribe down below, and peace out.